fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. Back this week is Ken Francis. And, of course, in our sound room, we have TK and Heavy D. We're going to be joining those two guys here in just a couple minutes. And, Ken, you were off last week. We had guest host, Fort Laramie golf and softball coach Brad Turner on the show, but good to have you back, buddy.
Thanks, Craig. I really appreciate it. It's good to be back. I hated to miss last week, but I had another commitment. So, Coach Turner, you did a great job for us filling in, and it's always nice to know we got a respectable view from somebody to come in and fill in for us if we need someone.
Yeah, we had an exciting week last weekend in girls basketball. We had Fort Laramie knocking off Anna to knot up that SCAL race. We had Minster beating number 1 state-ranked Arlington. We had the girls tournament draw. If that's any indication, it sounds like we might have a wild week in boys basketball coming up this weekend. For sure, Craig. It was a big week in girls basketball last week. You know, we had Coach Carla Siegel on the show last week, which kind of spearheaded the whole the weekend. So it was just good to get that off to a great start. And like you said, boys basketball this week, just some huge games. Battle for first place in the Shelby County League. Russia and Jackson Center locking horns over here at Russia's Claire C. Nouveau Gymnasium. You got the MAC race, which is really heating up right now. A couple teams tying at the top there with Coldwater and Versailles. And got the boys tournament draw coming up on Saturday. So just a lot of fun stuff ahead of us. Yeah, and you know, actually the most talented team in Shelby County right now might not actually even be in the Shelby County League, are they? Actually, Craig, I got to agree with you there. Coach Andy Slaughter over at Sidney High School, Craig, he's got some fabulous athletes over there, led by super freshman Andre Gordon. You know, everybody's talking about Andre Gordon, and deservingly so. The kid is a high flyer. He can slam dunk. He can shoot the three. He can penetrate. He can dish. He can do it all. But it's not just Andre. You've got some other great athletes over there, and really looking forward to talking to Coach Slaughter here tonight, live on our show, and hearing what he has to say about Yellow Jacket basketball in the G-Walk. All right, well, speaking of Sydney and speaking of hoops, the girls' Division IV tournament kicks off here in a couple weekends, and tonight's poll question has to do with that girls' sectional and one of the brackets in the sectional. Yes, it does, Craig. The Sydney upper bracket, Craig. The lower bracket, you know, Fort Laramie's in there. You know, I think Fort Laramie's going to walk right through that lower bracket, Craig, but that upper bracket, Craig, is wide open. It doesn't appear to be wide open, Craig. It is wide open. And which of these four teams, Russia, Houston, Troy Christian, or Jackson Center, do you feel has the best chance of winning that Sydney upper bracket sectional? All right, great poll question for tonight. And if you're watching us on your computer on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, answer that poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco or Game Face Ohio, the guys in the sound room will have the answer for you at the end of the show. All right, well, let's get things started with something we like to do called Five for Fighting, which basically means I pick 5 subjects between you, I, and the sound room guys. We fight for our opinions on those subjects, and let's check out what tonight's topics are. There they are. We got Too Many Points, J.O. and Hoops, Girls Tourney, Laramie Army, and Raiders Tigers. So we'll get things started out with Too Many Points. And, you know, on Tuesday night, Lima Senior won a game over Fremont Ross, guys, by the score of 103-54. Lima star and Michigan commit Xavier Simpson actually outscored Fremont by himself. He had 65 points compared to the whole Fremont team having 54. And on a whole nother level, I heard a report last weekend from a junior high girls game where there was an opening round tournament game that ended with a score of 86-6. So that begs the question, what's your thoughts on the proverbial running up the score?
Well, Craig, there's a fine line there between running up the score and just being that much better than the other team. If you're out there full court pressing and you're up by 40 or 50 points, yeah, you're running up the score. But if I got my second and third stringers in there and I just asking them to play good, hard defense, and when you got the ball, you obviously want to look to score. You want to try to improve your game. You're really not running up the score in that sense. So, yeah, there's a fine line there. If you're pressing, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But just playing good, hard-nosed defense, doing fundamental basketball, if you're that much better than the other team, then that's the way it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ken. One thing we might want to consider, though, is a mercy rule. Maybe in basketball, if you're up by 80 points and you're going into the second half up by 40 or 50, we need to consider about the emotional stability of the young athletes in question there.
Yeah, guys, whether it's on a junior high level or a professional level, when you get up by that many points, certainly, like you said, you pull off the press, you back it off a little bit. But what gets me is sometimes you'll hear some of the coaches in the stands will start yelling about putting in the second string or the third string, and you can still do things to back it off, like you said, pulling off the press, and not necessarily have to substitute. I want to leave that decision up to the coach. Okay, just because a team is less talented and can't keep up with your team doesn't mean you should pull all your starters out and give it all to the second and third string kids. Maybe you work them in and stuff, but I hear so many times where fans are yelling, "Hey, get the kids out, get the starters out of the game. They're going to get hurt." I don't necessarily agree with that, and I think I'll leave that decision up to the coach. But I do think you can back it off and still play your game.
Yeah, hopefully that 86-6 thumping took place wasn't some grudge match that the coach had from falling back from his high school or junior high years, wanting to get even. So.
Yeah, we certainly hope not. Yeah. All right, well, let's move ahead to JO and hoops. And, this is the time of the year where you hear a lot about JO, or some people call it club volleyball. It's underway. And in this area especially, it's not uncommon to see a girl that's playing, a basketball game on Saturday and then have to take off after the game to head to another city because she has a JO tournament that she has to be in on Sunday. So what's your opinions on girls doing this double duty?
I want to hear TK's opinion first. He's a JO guy and he's a hoop guy. So what do you got, TK?
I was just going to say I experienced it firsthand, and it wasn't such a bad thing. It kept the kids engaged in different things, different sports, but it kept them engaged. So I didn't see any real hindrance to it. Maybe I was fortunate because my daughter didn't get injured or didn't have any problems with it, but it helped keep her in shape. It helped keep her focused, and it was good camaraderie, and she made a lot of good friends. So I never saw it take away from either one of the sports, and I thought it was a good experience for her.
I think from a small school standpoint, I think you got to look at it and think, okay, a lot of these kids, they really like volleyball. If I don't let them play both at the same time, they may not play basketball. If they're a phenomenal athlete, I really want them to play. If I'm not going to have them on late Saturday or Sundays, I'll take the bad with the good there. But I can understand sometimes how the basketball coaches get a little upset on that. I really don't want you getting hurt out there playing JO volleyball. But on the other hand, if I got to make a decision then and I say, well, sorry, basketball coach, I'm not going to play. Well, then I think I'd probably say, okay, well, go play your JO volleyball. I'll take you at 90%.
You really got to read your kids on that. So if they're really into it, great. But if it's the parents that are wanting to do it and the kids are not so into it, you got to watch that. You'll burn them out.
I talked to one of the reputable coaches in this area a couple years ago on the same subject, and she said, there's not much she can do to control that. She says, I just ask my players, come tournament time, give me all your attention. Personally, I don't like it. I'm trying to imagine going to over to Marion Local and talking to football coach Tim Goodwin and saying, hey, Tim, this fall I'm going to play football for you, but I'm going to play fall baseball as well. So, hopefully you can deal with that. I can imagine Tim saying, son, have a seat on the bench there. So, I don't like it, but I understand that's not the way it works. But anyway, I just think it's. I know it happens, but I'm not a big fan of it. So, all right, well, let's move ahead and talk about the girls' tourney. Of course, the girls' tournament draw was last weekend. First impressions, guys.
Well, Craig, pencil the Lormy Redskins in the regional semifinals. Just put them out there, save the fuel money, put them out there. The rest of the brackets, or the Division IV bracket, like I mentioned before with our poll question, I think it's a very tight race up there in that Sidney sectional. So the Walpock District, I think also, Minster's got a pretty clear shot as far as that one goes. But I'll let some of the other guys comment on a few of the other brackets.
Guys, what do you think? Any first impressions on that tournament draw after last Sunday?
Yeah, as Ken said, obviously we just splashed up there. The Laramie, they've got a pretty good draw. As we say with the poll question, the Russia, Houston, Troy Christian, that's up for grabs, and a couple good teams, and going to be some good basketball. Any one of those teams could make it through. It's a good lineup there. I like the way that fell out, but the other sides looks pretty predictable. They're even going up to again, talking about Minster. They got a nice draw for themselves and keep themselves focused. They should have a nice ride through the tournament there.
Yeah, we could see a Minster-New Bremen matchup a little later in that super sectional, whatever you want to call it up there. I think that's a district game for them, and I see Minster pulling that one out. I'm kind of interested. I know we got some Sidney viewers tonight, and the Sidney girls, I believe, finished with a regular season record last year of maybe 20-2, something along those lines, and didn't make it out of the sectional. I got beat perhaps in a second-round game, so they're doing very well right now, undefeated. I think 20-0 and maybe 21-0 after tonight. They played Troy. I want to see how they advance in tournament and if they can get out of that sectional, so we'll be interested to see that.
Interesting, Craig. They did not even get the number 1 seed in their sectional. I was really surprised at that.
Yeah, that is interesting. All right, guys, let's move ahead to the next subject, and that is the Laramie Army. And Fort Laramie, as the boys team has struggled, I guess, a little bit at the beginning of the season, but certainly didn't look that way last weekend. Had 2 big wins, beat Anna on Friday night, came back and beat a solid Marion local club on Saturday night. And I guess I'd like to know, is this Fort Laramie team now, are they all of a sudden contenders, or are they just pretenders?
Well, Craig, I'll address this one first. Back during the holidays, I talked a little bit about the Redskin offense and said they needed some help over there. Well, Laramie faithful listeners, I hope you're out there listening tonight because you guys have righted the ship. Before the holidays, those first 10 games, you guys averaged 44 points a game. Since then, the Fort Laramie Redskins, Craig, have averaged 51 points a game. They've made some adjustments on the offense. They're still doing a lot of high screen pick and rolls, but, Craig, they're getting a lot more penetration to the bucket, which is allowing the kick out for the open super sophomore out there, Dylan Braun. And when he gets hot, that really opens up the paint for the big man, Tyler Siegel, in the paint. Laramie, Craig, is definitely playing a lot better right now. They're scoring, like I said, a lot more points per game, and they've made some nice adjustments. They are a contender, Craig, no doubt.
Yeah, I can remember watching Laramie play ever since I was 5 years old. And if you play against Laramie, don't take it for granted. Expect for them to come ready to play. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of heritage there at Laramie, and they'll be ready to play come tournament time.
Yeah, they came over to Russia a couple weeks ago. They started out really slow, but as you remember, they made that a heck of a game there at the end. And I think I agree with you. They're figuring things out over there. Do have a lot of young talent. I think 3 really good sophomores over there that were playing JV ball last year. So at this point of the season, they've got almost a full season of varsity under their belt. And, they're going to be dangerous come tournament time.
Absolutely. They've gained a lot of experience and a lot of confidence. And like you said, they got 3 sophomores that are playing very well for them. And they're definitely a team that you don't want to run into in the sectional.
All right, and our last topic is Raiders Tigers, and this Friday night it couldn't get any better than this. You got the Jackson Center boys with a 9-1 league record visiting the Claire C. Naveau Gymnasium, taking on our Russia Raiders, who are 8-2. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I want to ask you guys, what part of this game are you looking forward to watching the most?
Well, Craig, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Raiders can control Brady Wildermuth, the 6'6" junior. Craig, he was a handful the last time these two teams got together. And but honestly, Craig, he does his damage in the paint. If you can keep him 10 to 12 feet on the perimeter and make him shoot that outside jump shot and keep him off that block, I think the Raiders can control this game and really have their way with the Tigers because it's all going to come down to how they can control Brady Wildermuth and how they can keep him off the block.
Yeah, he's a nice player, that's for sure. Like you said, 6'6", and he certainly can crash the boards and score a lot of points. So, guys, what do you think?
You have to agree. The Raiders lately have been kind of almost reluctant to go inside. The other night they finally did and did some good damage on offense and pulled some fouls out of the big men on the other teams. They got to do the same thing as well as keeping Wildermuth out. They got to go inside after him, get him in foul trouble. Again, Jackson Center's not very deep. we get them they get them in foul trouble, and that's probably a key, keeping them out on the perimeter, attacking inside on offense, and get them in foul trouble, and it should be a different game than what we had up at Jackson Center.
I'm looking forward to watching Jackson's sixth man, Coach Elkert. He always has his guys ready to play, and I just like watching him.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the good ones in this area. And I tell you what, since we're talking about Jackson Center, I'll just talk about Drew Sosby. That kid, I think he's listed at 6'1". If he's that, but he is a matchup nightmare. And, you try to guard him with a small guy, and he can post him up. He can elevate. You try to guard him with a tall guy, he's just going to dribble right around him. So I think what Coach Elkert has to worry about, though, is Rushie's defensive specialist there, Trevor Monin. And I expect the Raiders to put Trevor Monin on Sosby, and if they know it's good for him, they ought to keep him on him all night, because he's one of the few guys that can stop an elite player like Drew Sosby.
Yes, I agree. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fun atmosphere, and really looking forward to it Friday night.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our Five for Fighting. If you agree or disagree with something we had to say, we'd sure like to hear about it. There's our Twitter handle at the top of the screen, so send us a tweet. Let us know what you think. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the first half of our show. We're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some more basketball, including that big interview with Sidney coach Andy Slaughter.
Stage at the leaving van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. A cat and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking hoops. We're going to talk some more hoops now.
We like hoops this time of year, Craig. It's all about hoops tonight.
Well, listen, we haven't talked anything about GWalk boys this winter sports season, so let's check out the standings and see what the GWalk boys, particularly the GWalk North, is doing right now, Ken.
Well, Craig, there's just some exciting basketball over there. You got Trotwood ranked number 10 in the state, sitting at 7-0 in the conference, 18-2 overall. Sidney there at 5-2. Greenville's got a very good team at 5-2, and of course you got the Troy Trojans, coached by ex-Rushi head coach Paul Bremagen, sitting there. So just a lot of good talent in the GWalk. Really looking forward, Craig, to talking to the head coach of the Sidney Yellow Jackets, Andy Slaughter, here in just a minute.
Yeah, of course, in that GWalk Central, you got Wayne there, number one team in the state, and they're awfully tough, too.
Wayne's not bad.
They're not bad at all. All right, well, part of the success, of course, over there at Sidney is their roster, got a roster full of stars, and the other part of their success is their coach, like you said, Andy Slaughter. Happy to have him live on the phone right now. Coach Slaughter, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys very much for having me.
All right. Well, first of all, congrats on your big win over Piqua on Tuesday night. You know, your team lost a 2-point overtime heartbreaker to them back in December. This time around, Coach, you beat them convincingly, 78-63. What does this tell us about your Yellow Jackets at this point of the season?
First of all, thank you. I think that, we obviously played a little bit better this time around. It's always a little easier when you're playing at home, especially in front of a crowd like we had last night. Our student section was filled to the brim, and almost all of Sidney was there to support us last night, so it's a whole lot easier playing in front of a home crowd like that. But we're starting to play better basketball. I don't think we've reached our peak yet, but we're better on the defensive end, which is something that we've preached all year long. And we're also doing a better job of playing inside out, making sure we get our big guys the ball inside first, especially when they have an advantage in size like they did last night.
All right, well, a little earlier, actually at the top of the show, I described your Yellow Jackets as the most exciting team in Shelby County, and I really believe that, Coach, because I had the opportunity to watch you host Troy back in mid-January, and your gym was electric. Like you just said, your gym was packed. It's been packed, I guess. Your fans were really into it. Has it been that way all season?
You know what? It really has. We've had a lot of excitement. Building up to this season, we did a lot of good things last year. We really started to turn the program around, and the school and the community and everybody had rallied around us, and really wanted our boys program to be better, and our players have really came out and played pretty well. And whenever you're winning and playing well and playing hard, and have some exciting things go on in the games like the fast breaks and the dunks and things like that, people get excited, and so people really want to come out and see our games. They're fun to watch, entertaining, but most of all, our kids play the game the right way. We act the right way. We do the right thing, and it's pretty fun to watch, and it's a great atmosphere in the Hive every time we play. Every time we have a game.
Coach, hi, this is Ken Francis, and one of the reasons you've been so successful this year is freshman phenom Andre Gordon. Andre comes into your program this year, very well known across the state, if not across the Midwest and part of the whole country. He dazzles the crowd with dunks, it seems like, every night. He penetrates well, he shoots well, he does a little bit of everything. But tell me, how has Andre's game changed from game one to tonight?
Well, obviously, being a freshman coming into playing varsity basketball, there's a huge difference from 8th grade basketball to varsity basketball. And, he at the beginning of the season was still adjusting to the speed of the game. Even with the AAU and all of that type of stuff that he plays, it's a very different game at the high school level. And, he just had to adjust to that a little bit. But he's done a lot of really good things for us this season. Especially, I'd say the biggest thing is if you look at last night's game, he was 8 for 8 from the free throw line, and that's something that had kind of haunted him a little bit at the beginning of the season. And he's really put the time and effort in. He's the kid that's in the gym all the time after practice, getting up extra free throws, coming in late at night to come in and get some more free throws up. And he's done a really good job working at getting better at from the free throw line. And also his jump shooting. That at the beginning of the season, it was back off, make him shoot the three. And he's had, in the last couple of weeks, he's had multiple games where he's hit 3 3-pointers. So, being able to stretch the floor like that, and then being able to, if he does go to the rim, it's not an automatic, hey, let's just foul him, make him shoot free throws, because now those are automatic as well. If you foul him, he's hit 2 free throws. So he's grown and matured as a player throughout the entire season, which is what you expect from a kid who's as talented as he is.
Coach, as good as Andre is, several nights I look at your box score and I see you're led in scoring by a familiar name to me, and that's senior Cameron Gallimore. Explain Cameron's role on the team and how he has been so important for you.
No, Gally is one of our leaders, one of our captains. We just call him Gally. It's a lot of the talk goes to Andre and that type of stuff, but Cam he's a returning first-team All-GWAC player. He was a 17-point-a-game scorer last year. You know what I mean? It really put the games in. Had multiple games where he was over 20, a couple over 25, and one over 30 last year. So he's able to put the ball through the hole in bunches, and has really been able to do that at different times this year, especially when teams are compacting inside to our big, or when they're really focusing on Dre driving to the basket. So he's been able to benefit from that a little bit this year, where he's gotten some pretty good looks on the outside to put him in the hole. And really now, has started to figure out playing off the ball a little bit more this year, and his ability to get to the basket and use his mid-range game, which is one of the best that I've ever seen, from anywhere from about 12 to 17, 18 feet. He's about automatic from that.
Coach, you host Trotwood Friday night. It's going to be an electric gym. They've got a freshman over there as well. That's not too bad, and you know who I'm talking about. But
Yep.
you know, they're state ranked. They got a fabulous freshman as well. What do you expect from your team Friday night, and what's it going to take for the Jackets to get out of the Hive with a W?
Well, I mean, Trotwood's a great team. You know exactly what they're going to bring. They're going to bring athleticism, speed, quickness, tempo, full court pressure, run and jump in the half court. So, you know, we do our best to simulate all of that type of stuff during practice. You know, it's really hard to simulate their speed and length at times, but, you know, we do some creative things to try to get to that. But realistically, we have to control the tempo. We have to play at our pace, not try and get in a track meet with them, because they're deeper than we are, and they're more athletic throughout their lineup, from 1 to 10 than we are. You know, we have some very athletic kids, but we don't have as many athletes as they do. So, you know, we have to do a very good job of playing at our pace, playing at our tempo, taking care of the basketball. You know, turn the ball over less than 10 times, and make sure that if we do turn it over, we get back and turnovers don't turn into layups on the other end. The other thing we have to do, which is just as important as taking care of the ball, is boxing out. Over half of Trotwood's points come off of second chance points, off of offensive rebounds. So we have to make sure that we put a butt on somebody every single time that a shot goes up. And if we can limit the amount of offensive rebounds that they get, we limit their chance to score on those second chance points, which would give us a great chance to get a W Friday night.
All right, Coach, listen, hey, we got just a minute left here, but I got one more question I want to ask you. You know, as good of a season as you're having, you have a little competition over there right now for the spotlight, and that's because your girls' team is actually 21-0 right now after their win over Troy just a little bit ago. Coach, how special is that to have two teams, the girls and the boys, that are both playing so well this season?
Well, neither one of our programs see it as competition. We're just as happy when the girls get wins as we are when we get wins. They're just as happy as for us when we get wins as when they do. You know, if you look in the student section tonight at our girls game, the whole first two rows are boys basketball players. If you look in the student section during our games, the whole girls basketball team's in the first two rows. So our teams do a great job of supporting each other and really rooting each other on every single night. But it's great for the city of Sidney. It's great for Sidney City Schools, you know, to have our sports programs really starting to pick things up here and just, you know, get some wind and really get the community and the district behind all of us, not just boys basketball, but girls basketball, football, soccer, and hopefully baseball, softball coming up in the spring too. You know, whenever you can win and have some really successful seasons, it does great things for not only school morale, but community morale as well.
Coach, listen, from Fish Report, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. You're right. You've created a lot of excitement over there at Sidney. And us Shelby County fans, we love one of the first scores I always look for in the box score every night. Always interested to see what the Yellow Jackets have done. And good luck to you Friday night. Good luck to you the rest of the season. And hoping to catch a game of yours down the tournament trail sometime.
Hey, thank you guys very much for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, that was Sidney Yellow Jackets head coach Andy Slaughter. And I do want to say special thanks to a couple of those pictures that we saw from Andre Gordon and Cameron Gallimore. A photographer over there in Sidney by the name of Michael Douglas took those pictures and sent those to us tonight. So thanks to him. And Michael Douglas, isn't that like an actor or something?
I think
Isn't that the guy in Fatal Attraction or whatever?
It could be. I don't know.
I don't know if it's the same guy or not. But anyway, we want to say thanks to him. Got one more thing to get to, and that is tonight's poll question. So, Ken, if you'll read the poll question again, we'll have the sound room guys check on the results.
We'll check the telemetrics, Craig. We're talking girls sectional basketball. Which team has the best chance of winning the upper bracket in the Sidney sectional? Is it Russia, Houston, Troy Christian, or Jackson Center? TK, what's the telemetrics got for us?
Tonight, the telemetrics, 100% of our voters say Russia.
Oh,
Who's gonna
wow.
win it.
100%.
100%. Well,
100% of
I'll
the
tell you
vote.
what, they've got a good shot on it, but I'm sure the Jackson Center fans and the Houston fans will have something to say about that, and who knows, Troy Christian may even slip in there. But Russia does got a great team this year. Coach Tim Hatcher's done a phenomenal job, and I hope our voters are right.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Do want to say special thanks to Andy Slaughter for joining us live on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish